There's something magical about film photography. It's imperfect, unpredictable, and that's what makes it beautiful. Every frame feels alive. The grain, the tones, the colours that never quite match reality but somehow feel more real than digital ever could. You don't get instant gratification. No screens, no second chances, just patience, trust, and a little bit of faith that what you captured is actually there. It's nostalgic, it's tangible, it slows you down and reminds you what photography is really about. But film has its limits. It's not always forgiving, especially when the light fades. I've got a bit of a confession to make. I've been shooting film now for a long time, and I've never really tried at night, which is quite surprising because it's actually my favourite time to shoot. The lights, the reflections, the moody vibes, it's all a bit of me. However, I thought that just at night it wasn't really possible. Low light and film don't generally get along. However, I've been experimenting recently and I've been quite happy with the results. So I've realised you can get good results shooting film at night. However, there are challenges. Motion, exposure, and focus. Literally all of it. But if you can get the basics right, you can get some really good results. So in this video, I'm going to share with you everything I've learned after shooting a few rolls of film after dark. First of all, we need to get the setup right. So the film and the camera are essential to getting good results. So we all know I love my Minolta. It's got a 1.4 aperture lens. So obviously it's going to handle itself pretty well in low light. You could use a rangefinder. This Canonet has a 1.9 aperture lens, and this one would also be all right. What I probably wouldn't recommend is going for something like a point and shoot, because you've got no control over the sort of settings at all. You're pointing and shooting and hoping for the best. You can get some good results that way. Trust me, I've done it myself, but you might not want to let it up to chance because we all know how expensive film is. In terms of film stocks, we've got a few we can try. CineStill 800T is generally most people's go-to, and it's understandable why. It's made for tungsten light and it handles artificial light beautifully, and you get those lovely red halogens that everyone loves. We've also got Portrait 800. It's more natural, but still when you expose it correctly, you can get some nice results. It might just be a little bit warm at night time, so just be aware of that. We've also talked about Kodak Vision 3 before, and this is actually a really good option. So we've got 500T without the Remjet, which is newly released by Kodak. And I've got some beautiful stuff from 35mm dealer, which is in Germany. Again, it's tungsten balanced and handles artificial light beautifully, although it doesn't have the halogens that CineStill 800T is famous for. In terms of black and white, we have a few options we can use. You could start off with HP5 or Delta 3200. These absolutely shine at night, but bear in mind, Ilford HP5 is only 400 ISO, so you might want to push it a stop or two. And of course, with black and white, that is absolutely an option. Don't be afraid of doing that. Light is everything in film photography. During the day, we take it for granted. Soft shadows, pleasing highlights, and a huge exposure range to play with. But when the sun goes down, everything changes. And that's the challenge with film at night. We're constantly trying to save our shadows. Film needs light, it loves it, and without it, things fall apart pretty quickly. And this is where the challenge comes, because we're not just looking for moments or subjects, we're actually just searching for really good sources of light in which we can then use to expose our photos correctly. That might be billboard lighting up a whole street, neon signs glowing above shop doors, windows spilling warm light onto the pavement, the beautiful light you get on the underground trains in London, for example, car headlights bouncing off wet tarmac. Even something as simple as a single street lamp can be enough to build a whole photograph around. Once you've found your light, you can then start thinking about exposure. and composition. Now, we have to bear in mind that subjects aren't always going to be perfectly lit. In fact, often they won't be. They might not even be in focus or be perfectly still, but we'll come onto that in a bit more detail later. You'll often be shooting silhouettes, people passing through a pool of light for just a split second, faces half lit by a shop window, or a figure outlined by the glow of a bus or taxi behind them. And that's really the beauty of it. You're not just photographing a person or a subject, you're photographing the relationship between light and shadow. So if you can find the light, you can make the photo, and then you can really put your own spin on things. When you're shooting in low light, you're almost always going to be using a slower shutter. So whether that's a 60th, a 30th, a 15th of a second, and sometimes even less. What you've got to get your head around is that your subjects aren't going to be razor sharp. They're going to move and they're going to be a blur. But instead of fighting that, lean into it. Motion can look so good on film at night. It adds energy and it makes the image feel alive. In fact, we talked about this in a video a few weeks back, which you can watch right there after this video, of course. Try shooting buses flying past, trains pulling in at stations, people crossing the street, cyclists weaving through traffic, anything that moves. You'll be surprised how often those imperfect frames become your favourites. Honestly, some of my best photos have come in low light situations where I'm shooting at a 60th of a second or lower. And then there's the abstract side of things. Low light photography is perfect for getting creative. Reflections in puddles, textures on glass or tarpaulin, streaks of colour, in-camera movement, all of that can become its own kind of art. Night photography gives you permission to experiment, to push your boundaries. In fact, you might find that you love shooting abstract, motion-driven images so much that you're searching for it even when the light is strong. And really, this is a great opportunity for you, your camera and the film stock to push your boundaries, especially when the light starts to fade.
But the Bible teaches that in the days of Noah there were mockers and scoffers, and they thought Noah was crazy. They didn't want to hear the warnings that came from his mouth.
Thank you for making it this far in the video. It really does mean a lot. If you're enjoying the video, hit that like button and consider subscribing because it genuinely helps. And if there's enough interest, I'll do a follow-up video where I push a few film stocks at night and see which one works best. Let me know what you want to see in the comments. Shooting film at night is hard. You're going to miss focus, you're going to underexpose, and you're almost certainly going to have a light meter that lies to you. But that's part of the charm, isn't it? Night photography forces you to slow down, trust your gut, and understand that not every frame is going to be a winner. And honestly, that's what makes the good ones feel earned. Those unexpected wins, the frames where the grain hits just right, or where the light is perfect for that split second. Or maybe it's the halogens you get on CineStill 800T. That's why I keep coming back to it. We've talked about it loads on this channel about how photography isn't about perfection. It's about chasing light, chasing moments, and letting those imperfections tell part of the story. When film gets it right, it really gets it right, and it's worth all of those missed shots. I'll be honest, film at night isn't for everyone. It's slow, it's unpredictable, it will test your patience and your skill set. But when you get it right and the grain, the light and the mood all come together, it is something quite special. And I implore you to give it a go. I hope you enjoyed that one, guys. Thank you for watching, it means a lot. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Hey.